Right. Well, I couldn't get those two sleeves out of the gearbox. I phoned up a gearbox specialist and they said it's sort of £125 an hour, well, plus VAT. It depends how long it takes, could take an hour and a half, in which case you're looking at 150 plus VAT, all the rest of it, or 175. So I took it to my friend Paul. Hello Paul, thank you for your effort, sir. To a specialist engineering company, and they we both tried to get this out, and with the right tools, I hasten to add, and no, they are proper in there, or the one we tried was so far in there it's ridiculous. So I have two options now. I bought the two little sliding bearings, which are the replacements for the broken ones. I know it's not going to last forever, but it will last for hopefully 50,000 miles before I have to take it apart again. Or I've got the selector fork, the new modified one, so it's waiting on some sort of inspiration from the big man upstairs, or my friend next door, Andy, to come to my rescue. I'm dripping now, absolutely dripping. So, what about the Mechatronic, I hear you cry? Cry away. Yeah, here it is. There was nothing wrong with my Mechatronic. There were no codes. Generally what happens with Mechatronic is loss of pressure, loss of hydraulic pressure. I don't want to play around with this too much because these things are quite susceptible to breaking off. And when you put that down, that is the lowest point, so that will break. Inside this cover, which is basically a load of 10mm bolts and screws, this big lump here, this Quasimodo, behind there is the accumulator vessel. Basically it stores up the pressure, so there's constantly pressure there to release, to do all the bits and pieces when these things are selecting the gears. Anyway, so yeah, the part of the aluminium housing that this that the accumulator screws into can sometimes break off. I've had mine apart, this cover off, the sump, and mine's absolutely fine, and there was no codes saying that this has failed in any which way, so I still went ahead and bought the service kit. Okay, let's see if there's any part numbers on there. No part numbers on there, sorry, but you get a filter, and you get all the gaskets and seals and the replacement plate in there, and all this gump here. Okay, now the reason I bought that is because when I closely inspected these two forks here, or rods, actuating rods, I've got these on them. Come on, focus, you swine. And all this rubber is split. See that? So I do not want, I mean, they are just dust covers basically, but I do not want anything getting in there at all. It's paramount. These things cost enough money to replace or fix as it is. That's the reverse gear center. That's another thing that can fail. So what I did, I bought this kit because it has two new repair boots in it, and it has the seals which go in it. Let me just pull that one out so you can see that. Okay, there's that seal that you replace there, just a plunger. It's like a bicycle pump seal basically, but it's extreme high pressure in there. So that's that. These four, I think, are for the four hydraulic pistons, or hydraulic rams, or whatever you want to call them. There you go there. So you got one slots into one selector fork. It's a bit on the stiff side, but then it's probably dry in there now. And yeah, those two go on if you remember the opening on the gearbox itself, you've got a slot here, haven't you? Material and slot at the bottom. Well, it sort of goes on that way, if you like. So these two forks here slide into the two selector shafts on the top of the box, and these two do the bottom ones. On reinstall, you have to have these 25mm from there to there, 25mm, all of them, all four of them, and then that would slot back into the gearbox, into the selector forks in neutral gear. Okay, so that's a little tippy. So yeah, I need to get these circlips off couple of circlips here. Let's get a bit of light on the subject. Little circlips. Look. I'll take these 4 out. Do what I'm going to do one at a time. Reseal it. Pop it back in. I've got some hydraulic oil. Just give it a bit of a... Put it back in. I mean, I've got this far, so why just put this back in as it is? Now, unfortunately, there is a oil filter, a hydraulic oil filter, which sits not just underneath this like sump guard, but it's right inside. Now, unfortunately, you have to take off this sump and you have to undo the accumulator vessel, because although there are a load of hex 30mm hex bolts in there to undo, there are 2 underneath that actuator vessel, and you just cannot separate these cases unless you get those 2 out as well underneath there. I've tried to undo mine, but what my crikey, I think it's 200 foot-pounds torque on there, and goodness me, I swung from the trees and I still couldn't budge it. So I am not going to worry about that. If it fails later on, I think it's seven bolts, undo the electric plug, off it comes, and I can sit it on the bench and go, I'll take it to a specialist that's got the right tool to undo it. It's a 70mm Torx 6-sided bit to get that old one out. Okay, so like I say, got to sort these 2 out. I'm going to do these one at a time. I'm not going to take them both out and just, no, one at a time, put it back in. Take that one out, do that, put that back in, so on and so on and so on. So all the seals will effectively be changed. So that's pretty good. Apart from all this lot, which go on the solenoids, there are 7 solenoids in here, which fire and close and open little valves to allow the hydraulic pressure to come through to these little thingies, which in tune do the gearbox. Right, I know it's a bit complicated, and I don't know what I'm talking about, so let's just crack on. Okay, right now, if you are going to do work on your Mechatronic unit yourself, if you feel brave enough to attempt anything, I would say don't, basically. Unless you're a real wizard, a real engineer, proper, you know what you're doing type stuff, and you've got the right tools, you ain't going to get that accumulator off. Anyway, this unit here, obviously all this gubbins sort of north of here is in the gearbox, so this gets serviced by the gearbox oil. All right, so yeah, so that's all that's bolted to the gearbox. End of story. Now, lubrication wise, everything from down this way, even the sump here, this is filled with hydraulic oil, okay, and it's I think it's green in colour, but yeah, it needs to be, when you first take this off the car, it could be pressurized still. There could be max pressure in the system. You know, one of the solenoids might not have opened and so on and so forth. There is a drain plug on here. I've taken one out, as you can see. It's in the magnetic tray doing its thing, but you undo these very, very gently and it should start to release the pressure. If not, when you take this sump off, there is another bolt, pressure release bolt inside. So just very gently lever it, break it free. If you hear a hissing, just let it do its thing. Come back 5 minutes later, have a brew, and the pressure should be out. So you will have oil coming out, green hydraulic oil coming out of every orifice this side of there. All right, so that's that. Now, when you've done all your gubbins and what you're going to do to this, you simply pop this sump back on and you have to refill the system. Now, it doesn't have to be on the gearbox. It's better if you have it off the gearbox because you have to bleed it. All right, now first things first, here is the breather. That would be effectively top of the gearbox. This would be the top of the gearbox here, hence being the breather at the top, otherwise it would all leak out. Anyway, stop being pedantic, easy. I found that a little interior car trim separator is good for this job. Let's have a Let's have a go. Ready? Oh, there we go. 4. See no ships, Captain. Ow, 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 ow. So there we go. That's the breather removed. And once you've done that, you fit that back on just to stop any particulates going in there. Incidentally, that is your refill tube, and you have to get a litre of fluid in there. So once you've got your litre of fluid in there, or almost in there, poppy that back on, put your drain plugs back in, tighten them down, and then what you do, I think, is you push and pull these. You can hear all that goo-goo until you hear no more air sloshing around. You should just see fluid oozing around. Okay, so you need to purge that air out of the system. Right, so, well, this is, you know, I'm not a mechanic. Well, I am. Well, I was years and years ago when I were a lad. But it's sort of an engineering type bloke that likes to have a tinker. You know me, it's sort of thing that I do in my channel, on my channel. But you know, where was I going with that? Bloody brain fogged up already. No, it's gone. Right, let's carry on. Okay, well, that's the first one done. Got in, and that is so much more pronounced. Anyway, let's get that dust cover back on. It's just the lip that it pops over. Oops. I have cleaned round the lip with a rag because it was bloody dirty, man. I think the best bit is to get the back on first. I'll play with that in a minute when no one's looking. Hockey docky, right. Let's take a look at the old sill. There's the old sill there, or the plunger, and let's have a look at the new one. Just look at the difference in that external size there to this one. It's quite a bit. So that has worn down over the gear changes, so I'm really glad we're doing that one. These come in handy again, I'll show you in a sec. Right, let's pop this one out. Okay, we'll get this clip off. You just need to put a flat surface basically against there and there. Just very gently push it that way and that clip pops off. But make sure you got a goalkeeper to save it. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Let's have a look. Probably not, but you never know. Right, let's have a go with that. Now this metal ring here is actually a magnet. So when you got things flying off in all different directions, it's quite good to have a magnet built in to catch things. Is this going to work? I've got to have one shot at it. Yes. No. Give us a second. Okay, that popped off. It's actually, I think this is like a plastic clip. It is. It's like a, yeah, plastic clip. Anyway, there we are. So to get to this sill, the top part comes off. Come on. There we go. Again, doing this one-handed is a bit stupid, but because things tend to fly off. So that top piece comes off. I'm going to put them down in the order they came off. Then we've got a little like a top hat collar there. That needs to come off as well. Now they're a really good fit. So what I did is I got me separators again. I'm calling on these far too much, really. I pop that in there. It went like that. That fell on the floor, as it does. The magnet stuck to there. So there we have it. 1, 2, 3. The crew is gone BDP. And if you want to go to the tip top, stop the violence in the hip hop. Why? Where did that come from? I don't know. So off with a sill. Now I'm just going to go around it with my fleece. Clean up my shaft. Make sure it's all contaminant free. and then we clean up the seal, pop that back on. It's probably good if you wear gloves at this point. You pop that back on, yeah, then you pop that back on, and you pop that back on, and you pop that back on, and you pop the clip back on. Yeah. And when you go to put it in, obviously, because this new seal has got really sort of sharp edges, if you like, it's sort of slightly bigger than the diameter of this hole. Very gingerly, just push it. Don't smack it in there with anything, because you will tear a bit of this lip off this plunger seal, and you won't get any pressure, because that's what it's all about. Is this seal keeps the hydraulic fluid pressure in there, and that's where it's supposed to stay. So that's the whole idea of that seal. Okay, because these could start to let by because they're wearing out. Right, let me crack on with this, and then pop it back in, and then we'll get onto the plungers. All reassembled nicely. I can't state enough, lads and lasses, that this seal and all these components really need to be as clean as humanly possible without damaging that rubber, because any particular in there, it will just be like sandpaper going up and down on it. Okay, let's get it back in this bore. There's some green oil in the bottom of there. Like I say, very gently just offer it in. It's going to seat quite snugly. Let's pull this out of the way, and just very gently work it in. There you go. You can feel once it's bitten. Okay, I got this seal cap over that little metal lip there, just by having lots of patience and threatening it with a few swear words. Yeah, that's not bugger. It's horrible when you think it's on and then it's not. I still can't remember what I was thinking about, talking about just now. Bloody awful. And can you remind us in the comments? And I'll talk about it next episode. I don't know. Brain fog isn't good. I'll do that. I need 2 hands on that. So anyway, that's that sorted out. We need to stick it on its bottom, if you like, and get to work on these 4 hydraulic plungers. Okay, yeah, like I said before about draining the hydraulic oil. This basically is a drain plug and a fill plug. Okay, all right. Well, no, it's the fill plug actually. This bit will be the top. No, it won't. That's the bottom. What am I talking about? There's the fill plug there with the breather, and that's the drain plug there. That's it. So forget all I said earlier. Easy enough, isn't it? Okay, these 2 plungers, I've had them back out again because you can stick your finger in the sleeve there once you've removed a circlip, because I found this bag with 2 green and 2 black seals in it along with these. So you take the circlip out, bearing in mind that there's 2 grooves. Let me just take this out, you'll see what I mean. So there's the 2 seals on there, and that one looks rather flat. I'll show you what I mean by flat. It's got like a square edge on it, which is never very good, is it, for an O-ring? But there we go. Distance difference in that. Anyway, if you look in there now, you see you've got 2. Oh shit. You've got one like a groove there, and you've got a groove just above it. So what I did with this one, I put the sleeve back in with the new seals on it, put the plunger in. Oh no, I didn't put the plunger in. I went to put this black cap on, and it wouldn't go on. It wouldn't clip on, because basically I had the circlip on the first ring, the top ring. That needs to go down. It needs to be clipped in, then squashed and clipped in the bottom one. So that allows room for this black piece to go back on, which is the holding bracket-y sort of clippy thing for the boot to go around that housing there. So let's clean this up whilst we're just chatting. Good day, Mr. Bond. Haha, it is a good day to die. I'll die another day. That's nice and clean, isn't it? Right, let's slide that back in. Let's get that green O-ring on the bottom and the black O-ring slides up the neck of it. You got some neckies, you really have. I don't care. Right, so that one sits under that collar, like so, and then you have that in there. Now, it's a bit of an art, because if you look down in that oil, you will notice this little groove here that likes to snag that seal. So it's kid gloves, a gentle rocking motion, bit of a twist, bit of an Oliver. There we go. Actually, I'm not overly happy with that. Let's take it out again. Oh, it's still in the seat. That's fair enough. Oops. Schoolboy error. I didn't clean that internal bore. Oh, that's a good sound. Lovely jubbly. Oh, bloody hell, it's stuck now. Need a puller to get this out. Yeah, incidentally, those 4 plungers there, I've undone the circlip thus, and I've taken out the collar, which you can see just in there, look, thus, but obviously inside there is an oil seal, thus, which is a rather good fit, I would have thought. So anyway, I put my head on and I thought, how on earth can I possibly get that out of there? Oh, that's better. Oh, madam. Oh, suits you, sir. Yeah, once you push it down, you've got to really give it a bit of beans, and it just pops in that second hole. Dan, right, let's pop in that black retainer. Where is it? There it is. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. That just snaps in. Sorry about the wiggly camera. It's my... Oh, you bloody Burke. What am I? I'm a bloody Burke. I haven't put that in. Stupid boy. That doesn't actually look down far enough. Does it look down far enough? Oh, I don't know, it might be. Okay, let's pop that circlip in. You watch me try and do this one-handed, and this spring clip is going to disappear over next door's garden at a rate of knots not seen before. Yeah, I can't do this with one hand. Right, that's got that sorted out. Let's just pop that back in place. There, it's clipped in place now. That's good, doesn't fall out. Where's my last plunger gone? Oh God, you're having a laugh. Someone is having a giraffe. There it is. Stop looking, I found it. Now, some people put a dab of grease on that ball inside there and a little dab of grease on the ball underneath his cap. I don't see any need for speed on there, to be honest, but there we are. Everyone to their own. Right, gently does it. There. Push it in nice and slowly, lads. There's no point in rushing it. Okay. Right. Yeah, there's no point in... Don't push it. Don't force it, baby. Giggity go. Giggity giggity. Come on. How many you get? On you get. Caroline says to me, why have you got such big nails? And I say, it's for getting rubber boots over clips. Again, another job that's quite tricky with one hand. Is that it? No. Oh, for goodness sake. I'll do it in a minute. It's a two-handed job, obviously. Right, so all I've got to do now is undo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 torques. I think they are 25s, might be 30, not sure without trying. And then we can take this plate off. This stays off. This is part of that housing. That plate off of there, because we need a change the seal underneath there. Right, dogs attacking the wife. Okay, right, I've undone those, lots of those, and we're now in this situation. I've just pulled this off. You can't beat it, can you, boys? Anyway, so yeah, that came off of there very easily. I didn't need to undo those 8 screws covering up that panel that covers up the electric mix. Okay, normally we're looking for like a burnt area on here. Well, I'm not, but what colour have we got going on there? That's a bit skanky, isn't it? Anyway, I'm seeing no burning here, no signs of overheating or anything. Not that I'm an expert on this at all. I'm just Joe Blogs from my shed. Okay, if I wanted to, I could test the ohms on these. They should be sort of between 5.8 and 6, I do believe. That is the motor that plugs in to there, sort of thing. You can imagine if that's upturned, push back in, that's where these connectors push into the solenoids, thus sort of thing. So what am I checking for here? Well, we've got a layer of, I can only describe it as crude oil. That doesn't really need to be on there, in all fairness. It's not hurting anybody, but also we've got to change this seal. Look, that's old, perished and expanded. As soon as I took that off, it was just wanting to jump out at me. Luckily we have 2 of these, so one for this side and obviously one for the reverse side, which goes against the gearbox in the shed floor. So yeah, we can just literally clean all this mess up, can't we? Get that all tidy. You need to run around here with something that's non-metallic, so probably use my brassy brush for that. Should we give it a go? That rings a bell. Ooh, Edie, you're so funny. Gosh, I know. Just get around there. Give that a go around there. Give it a bit of a wipe. Oh, that's so much better, isn't it?
Right.
So much better. I'll give it a good job in a minute. A good hand job with 2 hands in a minute, just to get that slime in control, under control even. Yeah, it looks alright, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm going to concentrate on how to get these plungers out of there. Obviously there's a seal in there, and this slider, I think from what I've seen so far, it's got like a plate on the bottom, like a well, it's a plunger, isn't it, basically? So obviously the hydraulic pressure acts on the plate and it pushes this forward and or forward / backwards, I would have thought. Okay, yeah, it needs a bit of a clean, doesn't it? It's a bit skankaroony. Alright, leave me to it for 10 minutes. Don't change the channel. I know where you live. Oh, that must need replacing as well. I remember somebody saying somewhere. Ooh. Yeah, it's imperative, isn't it? Absolutely imperative. Right, let me do some magic and we'll be back. Right, that's had a bit of a scrub up. It's nice and clean now, look. All that residue is off of there. Having said that, engine oil it's this side, isn't it? Or the engine oil, so you will have bits of, anyway, I'll clear it off because it was mucky, it was dirty. There's the seal that came out of there, and I don't know if you can see or not, but it's flat, it's squared off, isn't it? So it's a good job I'm in here changing all these seals. Going through the kit, I found these 2, this one and these sort of love hearty club type things. Now these go either end of the oil pump, I do believe, so I will whip that out in a bit. Now here, these 3 are these ones. Yeah. get that out of there. Pop the new one in here, like so, and then we got these going around the plugs to the solenoids, just basically to stop the engine oil getting in there. But I think they've been failing because there's a lot of goo actually in and around, and I do believe these are, yeah, they are. Sorry, I'm wiggling the camera around here. I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at what I'm doing for once. That makes the change easy. Like I say, if you're new to my channel, please drop a like and subscribe. Now will be a good time. Well, there's a boring bit. It's all boring, easy. What are you on about? Okay, that's that. Now let's hook this last one out. Don't you just love the smell of oil, lads? Oh, and lasses. Yeah. So looking at both sides, they are the same, so there's no real wrong way of doing it, but I'll probably find it. What is going on over here? Some sort of animal porn?
No. I'm trying to get him to move so I can get
He's getting brushed. Bless him. Right, let's have a go. There we go. Just make sure that's set in, because I noticed that this one keeps popping out slightly. What I might do in a minute is just reverse that and see if it sits in better, because you don't want to invert this and go to put it on there and these come out and then you screw it down and you think it's all right, because that won't be good, will it? So yes, Paul. Yes, Paul. Okay. You can see we've got all these little ribbons, and these are these sensors, sensor forks there, and they just go and snap on. If you undo these 5 screws there and turn it around, you'll have little, like a PC ribbon connections onto the side of that. Right, I think now that's ready to go back on there, but I'm not going to do that just yet, because I really want to get these plungers out and give them a bit of aggro before I start putting these sensors back right next to them. I don't want to damage any of that, because once you damage that, it's game over. It's big money. Big money. Right, so we go. No. Right, I think now it's time to get these seals changed. And these are for the 4 pistons which actuate the selector shafts. Right, and I thought, how do I get these out? So basically, circlip pliers in there, and dunk, take the circlips out. Wrong one. You want the closey ones actually, so I use the closey ones, close them off, and there they are, all 4 just sat there. And then you're left with these like plates in there, because they've got 2 holes in, so obviously this is saturated with oil, so when this comes out like that, it sucks oil in, and when it goes back in, it pushes oil back out. These little, just like vent holes, aren't they, basically? So where are we? Just sort of screwed it around like that, and we'll take that out of there like so. And then it was a question of, well, how the hell do I actually get these out? Because Winston, please, I think there's a dog's chorus going off here. You've got these seals in, but they're in face first, so you've got the skirt facing you. And we all know these seals aren't in lightly, they're pretty well in there, aren't they? So I thought, well, how the hell, what can I get on here which isn't going to damage it, that I can literally sort of hammer out, kind of thing. I did think of putting a claw hammer over there, but then it's steel on steel. Well, I needed alloy really, so I went in the shed and I found my old body dent pulling kit, and I got myself my Peter file out of there, Peter file, and I managed to file down this bit and that bit a little bit, and it kind of fits over there enough, so when you slide the hammer back and hit the stop there, it pulls them out. Look at that, quite easily actually. Well, no, it wasn't quite easy, but I was ticking, you know, when you're doing the unknown, you're kind of scared of it, aren't you? You don't want to break anything. You're not sure what's on the inside. You're just going by what people say or what you've seen on YouTube or whatever. So, right, I've got all these seals to fit. Where are they? There's the 4 big chunky seals. They go, obviously, one on each piston. And then put the seals in. I guess to drive that home, I would have to get a socket that's that diameter. And like a spark plug socket, and just gently tap that back into place. How far in does it go? Oh, there is a stop ring there, so it can only go in so far, and then, you know, that's enough. Goody goody. Right, well, I can't. Shall I just, yeah, let me just pause you there. I'll go and get this, go and get your chair, and then you can sit and watch me pull one off. Right, let's have a go at slide hammering with a dent pulling tool, cheapest chips. I think I got that from wish.com or something stupid like that. So I'm just going to put that over there, basically clamp hold of it with my hand, and there we go. Wasn't too bad, was it? Let's just do the other one while I'm here. I can get the seals done and get that back in. So again, put the cup over, spin that around a bit. Cup over there. I mean, I could have filed that all the way so that sits central on there, but it's aluminium. It's not going to harm the steel. It's going to harm this more than anything, but for like 8 quid, you know, it's got to be worth a punt, hasn't it? Right, let's just do that again. Excuse my arms. Let's go over the top. Over the top. Ooh, stay there. There we go. Goody goody. It's not bad, is it? Oh, I didn't even take that bloody ring out. Oh, Christ. I thought that was a bit tough. Then I can have a good examine of these. See if there's any scoring or pitting on these pistons. Doesn't seem to be. But you never know. Right. I think, therefore, possibly am. Oh dear. I'm going to wrap that up for now. I'm sure I can hear the brewing. Plus I'm knackered. Absolutely knackered. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like I say, please subscribe, share with people. Drop me a like. That helps me become a squillionaire before I'm 90. Oh, I'm not going to get anywhere 90. But there we are. DSG Mechatronic unit. It's not as scary as people make out. Right, catch you later, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.